Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Ashley Clemens. I'm an enrollment advisor for our online health policy and law program.
And my name is Miriam Rahimi. I'm also an enrollment advisor.
So we're going to get started today by first reviewing our agenda. Today we will discuss why this degree, the online format, the two different tracks, a little bit about your professors, possible career options post-graduation, and then the application itself. Also, please feel free to send questions through the chat box as they arise, and we will actually take all questions at the end of the PowerPoint, so hold tight. But now Miriam will share the story and the history of the degree.
We're often asked about how this degree came about, and it's an interesting story. The Master's of Science in Health Policy and Law is the product of a long-standing education and professional collaboration between UCSF and UC Hastings College of Law. Since 2008, the two schools have been providing opportunities for their students to work together, fully aware that as the law and science continue to overlap, lawyers, scientists, and medical professionals must be able to work together and navigate both worlds fluently. So they've had such success with bringing these two worlds together that the need for advanced education was apparent, especially in today's environment when we consider things like the Affordable Health Care Act, HIPAA, soaring healthcare costs, and expanding healthcare access to all Americans. This master's program seeks to provide advanced education to healthcare administrators, to lawyers, to doctors, really to anyone who is working in some facet of healthcare or hopes to. The education you'll receive will allow you to be fully versed in, say, how you provide levels of healthcare based on changes to Medicaid or Medicare, or how you as a legal professional are impacting healthcare service by changes you propose or enact into law. And you'll get the best of both worlds through this program. But let's hear it straight from the consortium.
We have faculty that specialize in reproductive technologies. We have faculty that specialize in genetics. We have faculty that specialize in neuroscience. We have health law, health finance, really the entire spectrum. UCSF is the #1 health university in the world. This year was #1 in medicine, in dentistry, in pharmacy, in nursing, in NIH funding. And they just have an amazing cadre of talented, creative, innovative folks that we're able to work with day in and day out. UC Hastings is very dedicated to great scholarship. We're also interested in doing what's called engaged scholarship.
At some point, the scientific results that have come from the laboratory or come from the library need to be translated into real-world terms. From the UCSF side, from the health policy research side, comes evidence, comes truth. And from the law, from the UC Hastings side, comes an understanding of what might be possible.
We get to take the research that people at UCSF have and help their research come more to life. That's really where the consortium helps research being done at UCSF turn into something that actually affects people's lives and the way that we think about healthcare.
And now we will discuss the online learning module. So our online program is tailored towards working adults as we provide an asynchronous schedule, allowing students to sign into their online learning environment at their convenience. This program can be completed 100% online, so it gives our students the opportunity to continue working while obtaining their degree. Students also have the option of either signing up for a 1-year program, which is a full-time workload, or a 2-year program, which is part-time student but a part-time workload. Miriam will now discuss the two different tracks within the degree.
By now you know that our faculty want all of you to bring positive change to healthcare here in the United States by being that bridge between the complexities of the legal system alongside the intricacies of healthcare. At this time, please take a second to select your educational interest through our online poll. Now note that there are two tracks available to students. The first is health policy, and this is for individuals who want to work on crafting policy, overhauling existing policy, or they can essentially do lobbying, systematic and economic changes, etc. The second track, health law, is for those who want to work in the legal field but don't want to go to law school or be a lawyer per se. Instead, they want to take greater interest in focusing on health law specifically and want to delve deep into the depth and breadth behind health law. For those of you who are uncertain which path is best for you, please know that you do not need to have a track selected upon applying, and you can elect unsure. As you can see on the slide, all students start with the same core courses. Where it differentiates is the elective courses you decide on towards the end of your program. I will now turn it over to Ashley to discuss your faculty.
Our faculty are comprised of working professionals with years of experience in either the medical and/or judicial sector. Through hands-on work experience in their respected field, they have seen firsthand how policy and law affect the quality of care given to patients and/or clients every day. The faculty's common goal is to provide better care to patients and clients through teaching students policy analysis, legal research and writing, program evaluations, and that's just to name a few of the hard skill sets taught through this program. Now let's talk a little bit about our faculty members. Gregory Cochran serves as a lecturer in law on the UC Hastings faculty and is also a member of the UC San Francisco UC Hastings Consortium on Law, Science, and Health Policy. He also serves as an associate director of the consortium's Health Policy and Law degree. Janet Kaufman aims to build bridges between academia and policymakers. At the Philip R. Lee Institute for Health Policy Studies, her work as principal analysis for medical effectiveness for the California Health Benefits Review Program is a prime example of her bridge building. Professor Jamie King is a co-director of the UCSF UC Hastings Consortium on Science, Law, and Health Policy. She's also the executive editor of the Source of Competitive Healthcare blog and the co-director of the Concentration on Law and Health Sciences. Please feel free to visit the faculty page using the link on the screen to find more information and biographies on your faculty. Now Miriam will talk about possible career opportunities post-graduation.
With the fully online innovative degree, you are prepared to serve as industry leaders. Your courses, which interweave the best elements of health policy and legal education, span across economics, finance, policy analysis, and legal reform. Some of the industries or professions you can go into include healthcare administrator or director, lobbyist, consultant, insurance representative, biotech professional, educator, social worker, legal professional, either doing legal researcher or writer, human resources representative, and of course you can apply it to your current careers if you're a doctor or lawyer who can utilize this information. And note, it's not limited to this area. There is a great demand for expertise in health policy and law. Accordingly, professional positions are being created every day. Now let's discuss applying to this program.
So now we'll discuss the application components. One must have knowledge of the United States healthcare system, and this can be demonstrated through either a college level course, work and/or volunteer experience, or independent study. We do ask that you submit all college level transcripts with your application. You must have a minimum of at least a 3.0 cumulative GPA. And there is a minimum of 3 letters of recommendation. Now, a quick tip for applicants are to definitely ask more than 3 recommenders. That way it ensures you meet the minimum requirement. I also suggest asking a well-rounded panel of either employers, mentors, professors you've had, colleagues, basically any individual that can speak to your academic aptitude, leadership skill set, and professional achievements. We also ask for a statement of purpose, which is a 500 to 600 word essay, which focuses on what you would like to do with this degree. Also, you should make sure to include the capstone project that you would like to work on, and that can either be a general or a specific outline. This is just to ensure that we are able to tailor the curriculum to your interests and that we also pair you with the appropriate faculty advisor. If you have any questions about these application components, please feel free to reach out to your enrollment advisor. Now Miriam will share our contact information before we start addressing those questions in the chat box.
As you can see, there are 3 ways to get in touch with us. Online, you can of course go to health-policy-law.ucsf.edu. You can also send an email to hpl@ucsf.edu or reply to an email you've received from your advisor. So this concludes Ashley and I's segment of the information session, and now we would like to hand the floor over to you. Make sure to go over any questions that you may have and feel free to submit them, of course, through the chat box.
We did have one question come up about the 3.0 cumulative GPA. Is that undergrad only, or can we use our graduate degree as well?
That is a good question. We do ask that you submit all transcripts from college level courses. The admissions board will start by analyzing your undergrad degree just to see what your cumulative GPA was in your program. And then they may look at all of your other transcripts just to assess your performance as a student. So yes, we do ask that you submit all of your transcripts from the courses you take. And they would start by first assessing that undergrad program. And then next they would look at any other courses to make their decision. Good question.
We have another question about the timeline of how we're accepting applications. How many times per year can we apply for this program?
We currently only have the fall admissions cycle, and as you know, the application deadline has been extended to June 15th, 2016. So get those applications in by then.
There's also a question about the accrediting body for this master's program, and we are accredited through WASC, as most UC schools are, as all UC schools are. And yes, Hastings is ABA accredited, but the entire program is WASC accredited. We also have a question about some idea about the capstone project. Would you be able to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, the capstone project is a really exciting component of the degree. Since it is obviously an online course, we want to make sure to give you that hands-on component, right? So the capstone project's actually up to the students' complete creative control over what they would like to focus. And I know that's kind of a general answer to your question, but to give you something a little bit more concrete, Professor Cochran actually gave an example when we met last. One example would be maybe a medical student, like a MD, someone coming from a medical background, partnering with a law student, so maybe a JD or someone within the legal field. They can come together and actually either write a brand new policy or take a policy that they may have found hinder their career and rewrite the policy. So I know that it's a very vague answer to your question, but I would say that the students definitely have any creative control. So if you yourself have something of interest that you're currently working on, you could probably tailor your capstone to your specific interest.
Mm-hmm. And just to add, we have 2 models. The first is you can bring a problem that you've been thinking about, create and execute a plan regarding that to tackle the issue. Second, if you have more of a general interest, you can partner up with our faculty, both at UCSF and UC Hastings, to work on problems that they have come across.
We also have a question about the GRE. Is it required for admission for this program? Can you explain a little bit more about the GRE?
Yeah. So as of right now, the GRE is not required for the application process. The GRE is pretty much used to prove your quantitative skill set. So a student could submit their transcripts showing their stats class. If, say, they got maybe a C or a D, they didn't do too well in their stats class, they would probably want to take the GRE to prove that quantitative skill set. So in short, the GRE is not required, but if you do need to prove that quantitative skill set and are unsure, say you did get a bad grade or maybe didn't take math stats class as an undergrad, you could definitely take the GRE to fulfill that requirement. And if you still have questions on that, you could definitely reach out to either Miriam or myself, whichever advisor you're working with, to clarify.
And what happens if your GPA is below a 3.0?
That's a very good question. When it comes to your GPA and GRE scores, I'll just put both out there. In terms of our admissions process, it's a very holistic admissions process. So our admissions committee will look at every single component of your application, irrespective of those scores. So if you feel like the GPA is not necessarily your strongest area, do not hesitate to make up for it in other sections of your application.
Yeah, and also with that said, students can address maybe their GPA performance in their essay, that statement of purpose. We do understand that you may be a working professional and your undergrad GPA isn't really reflective of the performer you are at this point. So if you are a little nervous on that GPA, like Miriam said, have solid recommendations. You can also take the GRE to show that you are a little stronger in your academic skill set. And then, yeah, like she said, it's definitely viewed holistically.
We have another logistic question about the application process. For applying, how do you submit your transcripts?
So there are a few ways you can submit your transcripts, as we do ask for your official transcripts. We have now become a little bit more versed in the e-transcript. So if you have electronic transcripts, you would want to put in our email address of our registrar. And I can also give you her email address offline just to respect her privacy. But we do have a registrar that you would pretty much put her email address in your request, and the e-transcripts will be sent to her directly. Also, you can physically mail your transcripts in to our department. We do have the physical address. One moment. The official transcripts would be asked for acceptance. So for the application, you would be able to upload your unofficial transcripts. So just to reiterate, you could upload your unofficial transcript, saving them as a PDF to your computer, and upload them on the application that way. You can also put in our registrar's email address into your e-transcripts, and please email us for her contact information. And then you can physically mail them once upon acceptance.
And how many students are you expecting in this first cohort?
Well, that's a good question. We're actually looking to accept approximately 40 students in the first cohort.
And then with the June 15th deadline for the application process, when should people expect to start hearing a decision?
We're looking to have a turnaround time of 3 weeks. So if the application's due June 15th, you would expect to hear back either the first week of July or the second week of July, respectful of the holiday.
And there on out, it will be rolling admissions, decisions sent out.
Kind of a different type of question. How can this program aid a practicing physician in their future career goals?
We actually do have quite a few students bring up this question, as a lot of MDs are interested in the program. The best example I could give is one thing shared from the student. Essentially, they mentioned when they get together with their staff and the administrators in a meeting, they often find that doctors speak one language and the administrators speak another language. So the doctors are more patient-facing, whereas the administrators know more of the logistics, the laws, the policies, and there is that disconnect. So they plan to pursue this degree in hopes to bring that bridge within their own department. So you can apply it in that way, and of course many others, whether it's another organization you want to develop, whether a position was created for you in an insurance company, whether you want to work for the healthcare system to provide educational information. So it's a very versatile application.
Yeah, and I can also speak to that. I was working with a nurse who's interested in this program, and what prompted his interest is the fact he obviously is very hands-on. Nursing is a very physically demanding career, and he himself sees firsthand the United States healthcare system and how overtaxed it is. So he would like this degree to not only able to clearly read policy, but to also understand how to explain it to the patients he's been working with, and just really strengthening his advocacy skills for his patient to be able to really partner with them, explain clearly how policy affects the care that he has been able to give them, and really partner and advocate for patients' rights.
And is there financial aid available for this program?
Yes, definitely. So the funding options our students are looking at, FAFSA is definitely one of the biggest. Behind that, there are cash payment plans available. Students admitted to the program will work with their financial aid advisor to determine what that would look like. There are also any outside scholarships. If you apply to any online, you can definitely utilize that. And there are also, if you are part of the military, you can utilize military benefits.
Yeah, there are definitely, money out there. It would just make sure to work well with your financial aid coordinator and get creative in the types of places you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And if your work offers tuition reimbursement, do not hesitate to reach out to them as well.
So as a student in this program, would a student have access to the UCSF UC Hastings library resources and online journal databases?
Yes, as a student, you are looked at, even though you're online, you are still looked at as an on-campus student, so you could definitely utilize any resources like libraries on campus or our virtual library, and yeah, you are definitely looked at as a UCSF, UC Hastings student, even though you're online. So all the same on-campus resources are available to you as well.
And another question that's come in is, would you consider this to be more of an academic or professional graduate program?
This degree program is definitely a more professionally focused degree program where there will be that research component, but it's more of that application.
Yeah, building on that, I would definitely say this degree differs from a typical maybe on-campus master's degree where it's definitely more research-oriented. The demographic of the students for this program are working adults, and we do expect them to bring in real-life work case scenarios and dissect them in an educational environment. So it's not going to be so much research-oriented like a typical master's degree will, even though we do offer that capstone as hands-on experience. This program is definitely more of an interdisciplinary, interdisciplinary curriculum.
And how do you think this program would benefit someone who's currently a practicing lawyer?
Oftentimes when we discuss this question with lawyers or students who are considering law school, they will note that they are not so much interested in a general law degree, but more interested in healthcare specifically, as well as the legalities and policies behind it. So it's essentially an alternate to lawyers considering law school or JDs. Essentially, it's more of a focus in healthcare.
Yeah, I would definitely, just to kind of bridge on that, I would definitely say that this degree would benefit a lawyer because it bridges the gap between medical law and legal. So if you're looking to maybe pursue health law or health policy as a lawyer, it could definitely bridge the gap in regards to the type of the jargon and the terms that you would be using.
So we've talked about working professionals into this program, but would recent graduates be considered and allowed to apply for this program, or is it more intended for established professionals?
I would say that it's it's definitely a two-pronged program. It could be either for working professionals within the medical or legal sector, or it could be for recent graduates, who do have some knowledge within the healthcare system. So you've taken a class in your undergrad that prompted your interest maybe in policy and law, and you would like to further that skill set, then that would be a degree that you could definitely look into applying for.
And to add to that, with rising issues and concerns here in the United States, we're essentially looking for the most qualified, most passionate candidates to bring that change necessary here in the United States.
Yeah, and we'll also have an info session in a few weeks with Gregory Cochran, who is the program director, and I would be really interested to hear what he has to say in regards to that question. So if you're able to make the second installment of our information session, we could definitely dive a little deeper into what his thoughts would be for that question. So with that, we are going to start wrapping up our presentation. If you do have questions and they were not addressed, please feel free to send an email to hpl@ucsf.edu, or you can reach out directly to either Miriam or myself via email, phone call, or you can also schedule an appointment with us. And we will also make sure to get your information about the second information session. Thanks, you guys, and have a great day.